Welcome everyone to your adapted seated yoga practice. And for those who haven't met me yet, my name is Bobbie and I'm a yoga therapist. And I've had the privilege of sharing yoga with individuals living with disabilities, older adults, folks that are in the old age of their old age for several years now. And so I love that I get to teach class on Wednesdays. And so essentially, the chair yoga practice is a gentle yoga practice. So I like to say now that the new advanced yoga is accessible yoga. And so yoga for everyone. And so I always like to begin by inviting you to find a comfortable seat. And so sit in a way that you feel the most at ease. And so it's challenging for our nervous system to calm down if we're feeling uncomfortable in our body. And then when you're ready, I'd like to invite you to bring your hands together at your heart center. Lifting your heart to your hands, bowing your head to your heart. And maybe taking a moment to set a simple intention for your practice. And so you could set your intention with one word, and we'll revisit that at the end of the class. Or it might be that you feel today that you're up to dedicating your practice to someone. And so, in which case you could imagine that person in front of you, silently say their name, and then wishing them happiness and that they might know the root of all happiness. And then when you're ready, release your arms down by your sides, spiral your palms open, open up your armpits and wiggly fidgets. So shake your hands vigorously. And so at this time, I'd like to invite you to ground through your feet. Center and ground through the soles of your feet. So we want to keep our connection with Mother Nature. We tend to start losing that. Root down through your sits bones, so maybe noticing where your bottom and your thighs are in contact with your seat. And then energy moving in two directions. Lengthen from the tip of your tailbone all the way up through to the crown of your head. So you might imagine you have a thread on top of your head and it's pulling you way up to the sky. Roll your shoulders back and down just a few times. Tuck your chin in slightly to release the back of your neck. And from here, we'll transition into mindful movement. So as you're ready, reach your arm way up to the sky. And then slowly float your arm down. Gentle movement, reaching up, way up to the sky. And slowly float your arm down. So let's explore adding a gentle breath to the movement on inhale, reaching up full length of your inhale. On exhale, float your arm down the full length of your exhale. It's as if on our inhale, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end point. On exhale, there'll be beginning, and a middle, and an end. Release both arms down by your side. Rest your hands on your thighs and we'll do the practice on the other side. So as you're ready, reaching up full length of your inhale. And slowly release full length of your exhale. So gentle movement, reaching up, way up to the sky. And slowly float your arm down. It's as if on your inhale, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end point. On exhale, a beginning, a middle, and an end. So let's release and relax both arms down by our side. And this time we'll reach both arms up to the sky. Fold your fingers in, pressing into the palms of your hands. Or maybe even placing your hands on the back of your head. And together we can shout out, I am fearless. I am strong. And because none of us get through this amazing life alone, we can shout out, we are, we can, and we will. And with a sigh of relief, release your arms down by your side. Roll your shoulders back and down just a few times. And then rest your hands on your thighs, palm up or down as desired. And so an invitation to begin to turn your gaze downward. And so I have a bunny rabbit and he's off in the corner and he's being a little bit mischievous. So I'm just going to invite my husband to go be a bunny dad for a moment. Again, just beginning to soften your gaze or move your gaze downward. So moving away from the busyness in our minds and more towards our heart. Allowing your facial muscles to soften and release. Our jaws relaxed, breath is calm. And then from here, I'd like to transition into a simple breathing exercise that research shows can help with pain management and anxiety. So an invitation to place your hands on your Buddha belly, or maybe one hand on your Buddha belly, the other on your heart center. And then begin to deepen your inhale, lengthen your exhale. Excuse me for a sec again. And so when we lengthen our exhale, it is calming for our nervous system. And then see if you can begin to smooth out your breath. So that your inhales and exhales are about the same duration and quality. At any point, if you notice your mind gets distracted and wants to wander off, know that that's okay. That's the nature of our mind. Simply bring your awareness back to your breath. And then lastly, I'd like to invite you to see if you can add a quality of softness to your breath. So imagine you just tasted something delicious. Or it might be that you imagine that you're petting your favorite animal friend. And see if you can bring some of that same softness to areas of your body that you feel are too tight or nodded. And so our breath is long and smooth and soft as we breathe in and as we breathe out. And just for a few more breaths, or as long as feels comfortable, I'd like to invite you to keep this simple breathing exercise going. At any point, if you notice your mind gets distracted and wants to wander off, as often it will, bring a gentle awareness to the sounds around you. So I can hear the wood-burning fireplace creaking and cracking. I can hear my little bunny rabbit Evie, his little toes on the paws on the floor, hopping around. And so maybe noticing the gentle tone of my voice. And in a loving way, bring your awareness back to your breath. Your old friend, your breath. Wherever you are in your breath cycle, let your breath come back to its natural rhythm. Your natural rhythm, maybe observing the rise and fall of your chest and your belly. And then drop your chin towards your chest. And gradually blink your eyes open. And so we're falling awake, not asleep. Falling awake, not asleep. So notice if you felt a subtle shift in your energy. And so we've begun the process of tuning into our bodies and connecting with our breath. And so often the bridge between our body and our mind is our breath. And so moving on, release your arms down by your side or wherever feels comfortable for you. Open up your armpits and then wiggly fidget. Shake your hands for yourself. Shake your hands for yourself. And so if anything I share with you today feels uncomfortable, if it hurts, skip it. Come back to your breath. And so if we're focused on our breath, we're practicing yoga. And so from here, I'd like to invite you to join me in a warm-up for our neck and shoulders. And so I'd like to invite you to begin with simple neck rolls. And so see if you can avoid the temptation to move your head to its full range of motion. So you might hear those little Rice Krispie sounds. And then move in the opposite direction, other direction. Move your head up and down as if nodding yes. I am fearless. I am strong. And then maybe moving your head from side to side as if nodding no. And then maybe just tipping our head from side to side a few times towards our ears, towards our shoulders. And then when you're ready, coming into shoulder circles. So soft, organic movements. So keeping that lovely breath awareness throughout your yoga practice. And then other direction. And then maybe alternating from side to side. So you can imagine that you're swimming if you'd like. And doing the backstroke. And then forward. And then when you're ready, if you'd like, and it's available to you, reaching your hands, your arms in front of you. And then an invitation to take your hands to your shoulders or wherever you can reach comfortably. And then stretch your palms. So hands to our shoulders and then stretch your palms. And maybe alternating from side to side. So it might be micro movements, visualizing the movements, focusing on what we can do. And then if you'd like, release your arms by your side, wherever feels comfortable for you. Open up your armpits, so get bigger in space. And then maybe taking your hands to your shoulders, wherever feels comfortable for you. And then let's imagine that we're drawing circles with our elbow points. And then other directions. So you can imagine you're drawing circles with your elbow points on the screen in front of you. See if you can create a little half smile, like a little Buddha smile. So when we smile, it releases saliva. And so we want a nice juicy mouth and juicy body. And then slowly come out of the movement. Release your hands back onto your thighs. Palm up or down as desired. And take a moment to notice how's your breath. Notice any subtle sensations. And so trust that the sensations are there. So it's not going to be a big rocket ship across the sky. And then when you're ready, we'll do some movements for our hands. So most of us use our hands more than we do our feet. And so when you're ready, stretch your palms. So I'm going to come in a little bit closer. I'm a bit nearsighted. And so that I can see you a little better, those of you who are in the class, in a place where I can see you. So let's stretch our palms. So you can imagine starfish, and then bear claw, and soft fist. And starfish, bear claw, soft fist. And then circle your wrists in one direction. So it's not about forcing one limb to do what the others do. We just want our limbs talking to each other. And circle in the opposite direction. And so maybe noticing, is one wrist tighter than the other? And then imagine you're playing piano. And so we're getting that synovial fluid, Mother Nature's WD-40 flowing into all the little joints in our hands. Turn your palms face up if you'd like. Bring your hands together. So maybe an invitation to interlace your fingers loosely or bring your hands together. And then imagine that you're drawing the infinity sign, infinity symbol, or the number 8. And then other directions, a little more challenging. And release your hands, and when you're ready, reach your arms up to the sky. way up, up, up. Fold your fingers in, press into the palms of your hands. And together we can shout out, I am fearless. I am strong. And with a sigh of relief, float your arms down by your side. Roll your shoulders back and down just a few times. Rest your hands on your thighs, palm up or down as desired. And take a moment to notice, how's your breath? Notice any subtle sensations. And so the yoga happens between the poses and the movements, those moments of stillness. And so when you're ready, I'd like to share a practice with you to help release some of the tension in our face. And so I was quite surprised to find out that the most difficult place to release tension is in our face. And so we're going to make some faces, and they're not going to be really attractive faces, but oh well. So when you're ready, I'd like to invite you to open your mouth wide. And release. And so this time, let's open our mouth wide again and see if you can bring your lips over your teeth this time though. And release. And then clench your teeth together so you just bit into a lemon. And release. And then if you'd like, an invitation to make a soft fist, bring it up to your jaw. So if you have a yoga buddy that's with you today that wants to help with some of these movements, otherwise it might be that you're imagining the movement. So imagination is powerful. So creating resistance. And then other side. So we hold a lot of tension in our jaw. Sometimes we bring that in from one day to the next. We don't want to stay there too long though. We don't want to create lockjaw. And then maybe making a soft fist, bring it up to your third eye, middle of your forehead. And so a lot of ideas about where the third eye is. And so my background in training tells me it's the middle of our forehead, and it's not rocket science. So this is the front part of our brain, and when we put gentle pressure here, it can be calming for our nervous system. And then release. You give your hands a little shake out. And then if it's available to you and you would like, reach your hand up and over, place it on the side of your head. And again, creating resistance. So it's as if your head wants to move towards your shoulder, but your hand's stopping it. And then other side. And then if you'd like, placing your hands at the base of your skull, your head. And so it might be that you're pressing your head against your headrest if you happen to have a headrest. And so gently pressing your head against your hands or your headrest. And then release. Now just give our hands a little shake up. And so take a moment, check in, notice how you feel. And so it's not about what we look like in our yoga practice. The diagnostic tool is, how do I feel? And so moving on, I'd like to invite you to repose. So ground through your feet, center and ground through the soles of your feet. Root down through your sits bones. So maybe notice where your bottom and your thighs are in contact with your seat. Energy moving in 2 directions. Lengthen from the tip of your tailbone all the way up through to the crown of your head. So you might imagine you have a thread on top of your head and it's pulling you way up to the sky. Roll your shoulders back and down just a few times. Tuck your chin in slightly to release the back of your neck. And then from here, I'd like to invite you to join me in a practice called toning. And so I've explored using sound as a way to ease pain for a few years now. And so toning is when we sound. In this case, we're going to use the 3 syllables A, O, and M. And we'll do 2 rounds. And so you're more than welcome to listen if you'd rather. And of course, I can't hear you. And so just having fun with our practice, exploring various tools, techniques. And so always sitting comfortably, effortlessly upright. Wherever you are in your breath cycle, take a nice deep inhale through your nose, unless you're congested. Exhale slowly, and then together we'll begin. So inhale, and sounding A. Inhale, and making the sound O. Inhale, and then the letter M, M. And so let's practice one more round. And this time I'd like you to notice if you feel a vibration in your body, maybe in the space around you. And so inhale, exhale, A. Inhale, O. Inhale, M. And then maybe placing one hand on your yoga belly, your other on your heart center if you'd like. And noticing the rise and fall of your chest and your belly. Notice any subtle sensations. And so from here, I'd like to share a practice with you called sun breath. So a meditation on the heart. And so when you're ready, an invitation to bring your hands together at your heart center. And so in yoga, sometimes the middle of our chest symbolically is referred to as our heart center. Maybe noticing how it feels to have your hands in this placement. So if this makes you lose your balance in any way, choose another placement for your hands. So it might be that it feels better to have your hands on your Buddha belly. And so as you're ready, I'd like to invite you on inhale to extend your arms up and away. And then bring your hands back together at your heart center, or maybe at your navel center, your Buddha belly. And so in your own time and rhythm, keeping this gentle heart opener flowing. And so if you'd like, imagine the sun at your heart center. On your inhales, as you extend your arms away from you, imagine the rays of the sun radiating out all around you. And then gather that light and bring it back inside. So it's a symbol of the light that's always inside us. Inhale. And then together, if you like, on exhale, we can chant or make the sound Om. 3 letters together, A, O, and M, make the sound Om. Om. Inhale. Om. Inhale. Place one hand on your Buddha belly and the other on your heart center. And maybe taking a moment to feel the rise and fall of your chest and your belly. And then we'll release our arms by our sides, spiral our palms open. And again, so wiggly fidget, shake your hands vigorously. So a little more vigorous this time. Do the bum dance. Do the bum dance. And so one of my students sent me an email one day and it said, dance like a toddler. They don't care who's watching. So, I think at this point I'd like to do a practice called waving to our ancestors. And so, sitting comfortably, effortlessly upright. An invitation to bring your hands in front of you and then begin to wave your hands. So we could imagine that we're waving to our ancestors. So reaching up, up, up. And then hinging forward a little, waving. And so I had a woman in my class for a few years. She lived to be about 103 actually. And she said when we were doing this practice one morning, I feel like my ancestors are waving back. And then just like you're shaking water off your hands, let your arms slow down. Rest your hands on your thighs, palm up or down as desired. And take a moment to notice how's your breath. Our old friend, our breath. Notice any subtle sensations. So I actually have a quote that I came across by another yoga therapist a few days ago that I thought was really great. And it reads, a mindfulness skill is to notice pleasant and unpleasant sensations in the body without taking them personally. So mindfulness skills to notice pleasant and unpleasant sensations in the body without taking them personally. And so on that happy note, moving on. So let's repose. So sitting up tall, I'd like to invite you to push down through one foot and then push down through the other. So it might be an energetic pushing down. So if you can't feel your feet, I'd like you to visualize your feet. And so imagination is powerful. And maybe even noticing, do you feel one foot more than the other? We're rooting down through our sits bones. So sits bones strong on the chair. So really when we're seated in a chair, our sits bones act like the feet of our toes. Sitting up tall, so lengthen our spine, right up through to the crown of our head. And then maybe just shoulders back and down just a few times. So really we're not scrunching our shoulder blades together. We're just allowing our shoulders to soften away from our ears. And then when you're ready, I'd like to invite you to draw your hands. So I'm actually getting pretty warm now. So I'm going to take this Push your shirt off. And so an invitation to draw your hands in towards your hip creases, wherever you can reach comfortably. And as you do, begin to turn your gaze up towards the ceiling. So it might be that your eyes meets where the wall meets the ceiling. Careful not to throw your head back. So you'll know your head's back too far if it's difficult to swallow. And we'll stay here for a few breaths, or as long as feels comfortable. And then when you're ready, return your gaze on the horizon. And then we'll come into a nice gentle warm up for our upper back. So as you're ready, round your upper back. As you do, draw your chin in towards your chest. Inhale, arch. So slide your shoulders away from your ears. On exhale, round your upper back. As you round your upper back, draw your chin in towards your chest. And then when you're ready, come on back to a neutral spine. And so from here, we'll move into a practice called cat and cow. And so the movements of the spine. So of course, we all know that our spine matters. And so for this, I'm actually going to turn my chair sideways so that you can get a better idea of what's going on with the spine. And so if you can bring your feet a little wider than outer hip bone distance, go for it. It's okay to have your toes turned out a little. And then hands resting on your thighs, or wherever feels comfortable for you. When you're ready, round your back. So you might notice that as you round your back, your belly naturally contracts in towards your spine a little. And then arch your back. So this gentle movement. So this is the cow piece. You imagine our belly, the udders. And then on exhale, round your back. And this is the cat piece. Happy cat. Yeah. And so inhale, arch. Exhale, round. And so I'd like to invite you in your own time and rhythm to keep this gentle movement flowing. So massage for our spine. Going for a few more breaths, or as long as feels comfortable. And so move in a way that feels natural for you. So natural that your movements and your breath become one. So sometimes it can be interesting to close our eyes as we practice these movements. And of course, I'm here if you need me, if you need a visual. And slowly finish up the movement that you're on. Come on back to a neutral spine. I'm going to turn my chair back here. And notice how you feel. So maybe notice, where did your thoughts go? And so let's continue with the movements of the spine. So this is actually a practice to help in part to find our balance. And so balance, the equal distribution of presence throughout our entire body. So the equal distribution of presence throughout our entire body. So when you're ready, hinging from the hips, I'd like to invite you to rock forward. And so it's not about seeing how far we can go. Just come to that just right amount of effort and ease. And then rock back up. And so I'd like to invite you to keep this gentle movement flowing in your own time and rhythm. And so there's something about the rocking movement that our nervous system likes. Come on back to a neutral spine. Release your arms by your side, then rest your hands on your thighs or wherever feels comfortable for you. Take a moment, notice how that feels. And then when you're ready, relaxing your arms down by your side. Begin to shift or wave from side to side. Or it might be that you're resting your arms on your armrests. So extend beyond your wrists, beyond your fingertips. Come on back to your neutral spine. Take a moment. Notice how this feels. And then bend your elbows in front of you, low in front of you. Find a space you can gaze on softly straight ahead. And we'll begin to twist from side to side. So gentle movement. Remember your little Buddhist smile. So smile whether you're happy or not. And if you'd like to challenge yourself a little more, you could bend your elbows, fingers reach to the sky. Washing machine. So moving with our breath. And slowly come on back to neutral spine. Float your arms down. Roll your shoulders back and down just a few times. And take a moment to rest. And so the side bends, twists, these movements in the spine can be pretty intense. So I'd like to do a counter pose, a forward bend. And so forward bends, however, are contraindicated for some folks. So if you have bulging disc fractures, forward folds are contraindicated. So it might be that for you, your work is to sit up nice and tall and to lengthen your spine. And so otherwise, I'd like to invite you to take hold of the sides of your chair or wherever feels comfortable for you. So the idea is to feel stable, comfortable. So we never forfeit balance to come into a pose or movement. And it's not one size fits all. We don't all wear the same pair of gumboots or runners. And so when you're ready, hinging from the hips, come forward. Tuck your chin in slightly to release the back of your neck, maybe even nodding yes and no. And then breathe into your lower back. Where you can imagine that your lungs are in your lower back. So notice how you feel in the forward fold. So forward bends are calming for our nervous system. They're heard them called the antidepressant pose. And then when you're ready, press down through your inner heels. So it might be visualizing, pressing down, so an energetic pressing down. Lift from your chest. Place one hand on each near thigh and come on back up to a neutral spine. Okay. And so at this time, I'd like to transition, I think, into a silent meditation and then your final relaxation. And so an invitation to make sure that you have what you need to stay warm. And I actually have the fireplace going, wood burning, so I'm quite warm. But one of the things that can be lovely is to place a blanket or a pillow or something on our lap. And I'm going to turn the lights down a little bit. And I'm just going to see if Evie, my rabbit, wants to join us. And so this is Evie, my rabbit, and he's my therapy buddy. And yeah, he rescued my husband and I about 3 years ago. He came hopping into our yard here. So I'm going to place him on my, actually I'll just hold him on my chest, I think, for today. So sitting comfortably, effortlessly upright. Invitation to look down and into your heart and see what you can see. And then imagine that you're breathing into your heart. And so come into whatever position you'd like for your final relaxation. So if you have the ability to recline in your chair, with your head and neck supported, go for it. Sometimes it can feel really nice to put our legs up on a chair. So if you have a second chair, you can put your legs up. It can be lovely. And so an invitation to close your eyes softly. If that feels comfortable for you, or soften your gaze. So if you're wearing eyeglasses and you don't mind removing them, setting them aside for now. And so soft yoga belly, the area between our navel and our pubic bone. Soft palms, quiet breath. Allow your breath to reflect the pose. Serenity pose. Relax your jaw, unclench your teeth, and let there be a little space between your teeth. Soften your lower jaw. Soften around your temples. Soften the area between your eyebrows. Wide forehead. And silently, if you like, on inhale, saying let, and exhale, go. Inhale, let, exhale, go. It's challenging to quiet the mind. Sometimes placing our hands on our Buddha belly and bringing our awareness to our breath can be helpful. Without changing anything, bring your awareness back to your breath. Thank your body. Thank your body again. And so our bodies are the best home our mind will ever have. And now see if you can begin to deepen your inhale, lengthen your exhale. Wiggle your fingers and toes, hands and feet, waking up. And then maybe rubbing the tips of your fingers with your thumbs. And come on up seated comfortably to finish up your yoga practice. And so an invitation to bring your hands to your heart center. Maybe taking a moment to bring the intention you set at the beginning of your class back to mind, and then letting it go. And so lifting our heart to our hands, bowing our head to our heart. An invitation to take a moment to honor yourself for showing up for yoga practice today. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. And thank you to ConnecTra and the Disability Foundation and Odin and all the forces that make the class possible for us to share today. And so the teacher in me honors and appreciates the teacher in each of you. Thank you. And so I always love to hear feedback, any questions or feedback, always love to hear from you. So I will stay for a few moments afterwards and open that up